Hey everybody, what is going on? Welcome to another live feed on my channel. This is just a little hangout thing. I just figured I'd come on here, check in with everybody, see how everyone's doing, maybe give some updates on the channel, and talk about some things that are upcoming. Um, one of which is that I do currently have a merchandise shop built. I'm just waiting to get the verification back from the company that they received and processed my W-9, because apparently this is when you open up a merchandise shop, it's kind of like having another job. It is a side hustle of sorts. So you have to fill out a W-9, and then come tax season, you have to have a 1099 form that you have to submit with your regular W-2s and stuff like that. So I'm just waiting on them to get back to me and tell me that it's okay, that my W-9 was accepted, and then I can finally open up my merchandise shop. Which at some point during this live feed, I'll give you a little sneak peek of it so that you can see the merchandise. I mean, currently, right now, I only have one design on the merchandise, and that would be my Tom's World logo, the little gray circle with the TW in there. But it's on a bunch of stuff. It's on like t-shirts, hoodies, hats, mugs, pillows. I think I have aprons, phone cases, like all different kinds of stuff. And I don't expect it to blow up by any means, but it's just something to make a little extra money with. In addition to when my channel finally gets monetized, which I am super, super, super close to being monetized on YouTube. But the thing with that is that you also, once you get to that point where you can be monetized, which is when you have at least 1,000 subscribers, which I easily have. I have, I think the last time I checked, 1,426, something like that. You also have to have 4,000 hours of watch time of your videos within a 365-day period. And I am like that close. Like one more video should put me over that. And what the monetization on YouTube means is that the ads that YouTube already puts on my videos, like the ones you can skip, the ones you can't skip, things like that. Or if you're watching on a computer, the ones that come up down here, like, and you could just hit the X, like over in this area here somewhere. Like all those things add up to money that's put within your account with them, and they pay you once a month. I think it's on the 15th, as long as you've accumulated $100 or more in that month. Otherwise, it just rolls over to the next month. So I look forward to that. I look forward to finally being able to get money for the videos that I've put out. So that's going to be good extra income. And I do also intend on coming up with some way for donation. Here I go again. I can talk, I swear. Coming up with a way for people to make donations as well, whether it be like a PayPal, or I already have a Venmo account. I might just use that. But like for every aspect that happens that I get money through this, it's all going to be that much more of a hassle during tax time, but that's fine. And I'm going to have to pay those taxes back because they don't take them out. So it's going to be an interesting year for sure, because this is definitely the year I'm getting monetized, and I definitely look forward to that. And I thank you all for getting me there, because you've all been so awesome with all the view time, with the supporting comments and the likes on the videos. I really never expected to get to where I am in YouTube, to be honest. And it humbles me to know that this many people actually enjoy watching the content that I put out, and it makes it that much more of a privilege for me to know that I entertain people. Let's see. We have our first comment outside of Chris Mallon, who made his comment long before my my feed started. He was asking me what's up, and I just said back to him, "What's up, Chris?" But we have our first comment on the live feed, and that's Chris Cullen. You can put on the back of the shirt Tommy in the 215. I could do that. See, now currently, like I said, the only design that I have for my merchandise is just my logo, the Tom's World logo. But I'm gonna make more. I do already have a few made that I made up for, like I've bumped around from a few different services that do online merchandise, and the way it works is pretty cool because you don't have to have any of the inventory or anything physically on hand. It's called print on demand. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but it did. So what happens is you set up an account with a website, you upload your designs, they have the merchandise, and they print on the merchandise, they send it out for you, they do like everything, returns, all that stuff, they do all that for you. You're just getting paid whatever. Like let's say a t-shirt sells for $20. We'll just round it, nice round number. So let's say it sells for $20. It costs for the shirt and the printing, say, like, I don't know, anywhere from $13 to $15. And then everything past that goes to my little account with them. And much like with YouTube, you have to make so much within a month for them to be able to transfer it to your account. So I'm not going to be making much at all on any of the merchandise on an individual level for every individual sale. But it will accumulate, hopefully. And I have another comment here. Any places in Bristol / Croydon that you would like to explore? There are tons and tons of places. Now, Croydon I know very well, because while I live in Philadelphia, in far northeast Philadelphia, I grew up spending a lot of time in Croydon, like as a younger guy, as a younger Tom's World, because my grandparents lived in Croydon, and I spent a lot of time at their place. So when I was younger and I was in school, I would spend every weekend at their house, and then all summer long. I had friends there, in Old Croydon, New Croydon, Croydon Acres, even past that into Newportville, people that lived in the Glen Hollow apartments. So like I got around in Croydon, and it was all hoofing it at the time. So it was a lot of walking, but Croydon I've gone into a little bit in my videos. There's not really much to explore in Croydon. I mean, now I know you have the PA Woods that are just off Pennsylvania Ave, right along the train tracks in Old Croydon. In New Croydon, you have the whole slightly wooded area all along the Chamonix Creek, and I mean, it's nice looking. Don't get me wrong, but there's just not a whole lot in there outside of the houses along Newportville Road. I know that just above Glen Hollow on Newportville Road, in the woods, I think it's just past the bridge where the 95 overpass is, right there. On the left side, there's like an abandoned building. It's like a circle or octagon kind of building, and it has like no roof, and nobody seems to know what it is. I do intend on checking that out at some point. That was pointed out to me by one of my fellow coworkers, and he told me around where it was, and I finally found it. So I will eventually be going there. But as far as Bristol, plenty of places. I want to go down to like the historic part of Bristol, like along the Delaware there, and do a video there. I've seen other YouTubers do some videos there, and it's very interesting. I just want to be able to get all my facts straight so that as I'm wandering around, I can go from place to place and point out the different historical significant places. So I don't want to sound like a bumbling idiot doing it. So I've been taking my time with that, but I've been over there a couple times, and that whole area right around there. What is that? The King George Inn is right there. There's just a lot of historical places there, and I definitely do want to do a video over there. I just want to make sure that I have everything straight. But yeah, definitely. And in Upper Bucks County as well. There's tons of places up there that I would love to go to. I mean, hell, there's Ringing Rocks is part of Upper Bucks County, even though it's pretty far away. Or Ringing Rocks, however it's coined. But like, I definitely want to go there, even though I know a lot of people, a lot of YouTubers have gone there. I'd like to see it for myself. There's the one castle up there where inside, I can't remember what the name of the castle is off the top of my head, but inside it's made up of like a bunch of tiles on the wall and stuff like that. And that I definitely want to go there. I don't know if I can film in there, but I would definitely love to get there as well because it looked like breathtaking inside. Let me catch up on some comments here. Chris says we used to joke that Croydon is the only town that you can get beer, ammo, bait, and car parts on the same corner. Yeah, Cedar and State Road. Back when Johnson's Auto Parts was there, and the archery range and all that. Yeah, I remember. I'm not that young. I just turned 48 this year, so yeah, I do remember all that. And what really used to crack me up is when you were going from New Croydon to Old Croydon down Cedar Ave before you hit the turn where the bridge is, like right there at 13, there was a sign that used to be there. It says, "Welcome to Croydon, the town where people care." That gave me an inside giggle every time I saw it, because like back then, no, people didn't care. Much like they call Philadelphia the city of brotherly love. That's not necessarily the truth in the nowadays times, but yeah, I do remember that, and I'm glad you like that. Let's see what Newt says. Have you checked out the small graveyard behind Emmanuel Episcopal Church graveyard? I have not, but I don't think you're the first person to bring that up, unless you sent me a message about that. But there's been quite a few suggestions coming through, and I appreciate every one of them, and I make sure that I hold on to all of my messages so that I can go back when I'm pressed for a place to go to, because my method is unlike a lot of YouTubers' methods. Most YouTubers who do stuff like I do, they plan it out, and they even write scripts and all this other stuff. I don't. I will tend to grab a notepad and write down, like with my chicken scratch, as much information as I can, and I call that my cheat sheet, and I take it with me. There have been times, like say with the Boy in the Box video, where I was like almost reading verbatim from Wikipedia or whatever. But most times it's just like writing down certain facts so that I can sound like I'm just talking like myself instead of reading from a page. I've seen a lot of people who do live feeds and people who do pre-recorded videos who just read, and it's abundantly clear that they're just reading instead of talking like themselves. So I try to keep it like that as much as I can. But yeah, definitely I appreciate the suggestion. I will eventually be getting to that. Most of my videos have circled around the Bensalem area, but as you all may know, lately there's been, like say in the last 6-7 months, there's been a lot more videos in Northeast Philly, far Northeast Philly, just around like the Franklin Mills area, because I'm not calling it Philadelphia Mills. Nobody from the area calls it Philadelphia Mills unless they're youngins. It'll forever be Franklin Mills. For some people, it'll forever be Liberty Bell Racetrack. That's going back a ways, and I do remember when it was Liberty Bell Racetrack as well. But let's see what else we got here. Grew up next to Sunoco, the old Boy Scouts building. Huh. Hey, Darren, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining. appreciate it. We're just hanging out, we're talking, and just kind of getting an update on how everybody's doing, giving everyone an update on the channel. I'm about to do a sneak peek of my merch shop, which is not available yet, but will be as soon as the company that I'm using gives me verification that they received my W-9 and processed it. Matter of fact, I think I can do that right now, actually. So here, let me share screen and check this out. Look at this. You believe it? It's coming to fruition. I have a merchandise shop in the works. Let's see what we got here. On the old Boy Scouts building. Are you talking about the one behind what is it, Holy Family College? Because I've done a couple of videos on that. Yeah, I mean, there's no more information than what I had found online. I found a couple of old articles stating when it was built and stuff like that. Darren says, not much in Milwaukee, taking my kid back to college. Fun stuff, man. You know what? I do not remember when the police played there. Oh, 3rd Ave in Croydon next to the snow. Oh. I know exactly where you're talking. My cousin lived, or I think he still lives, not too far from there, like right around there. And I work right down the street at Neshaminy State Park. So, yeah, I know that area well. I didn't know that there was an old Boy Scout building back there, though. I'm gonna have to look into that. If you can, if you have any information on it, like location, anything, where it was anyway. You said there's nothing left of it. You can feel free to send that to my Facebook page, which will just be facebook.com/this is Tom's World. It'll be like all one word, no punctuation or anything like that. You can also find the link to that on my main channel page on the banner up top. There'll be like a little Facebook icon. You can click on that. But send me any information you can, and that goes for anybody that has any suggestions whatsoever. Send it over to my Facebook, and then that's the best way to get to me. All right, so let me click over. Oops, I clicked on the wrong thing. Clicked on my feed. There we go. All right, so now I can scroll down. So you can see we got some t-shirts, and right now, keep in mind, I can't see any comments because I'm on a different page. So we got some t-shirts, men's, women's, unisex, hoodies, hats, mugs, tank tops, aprons, bags, more hats, more hoodies, more mugs, water bottles, bags, buttons, travel mugs, phone cases, mouse pads, pillows, jersey beanies, backpacks, tote bags, water bottles, face masks. What else we got? We got coffee, or another travel mug, more phone cases, stainless steel pint cup, different types of hats, square magnets, tie-dye. And as you can see, a lot of these things, they have different color things that you can click on down here, and you can see them in their different colors. A lot of them are like different shades of white, gray, and black. But this is the shop. So I can't wait to launch it. I really can't. And to see what it does, because I've had some people comment on it, said they can't wait. I know personally, I can't wait to buy a Tom's World hat. My hair is getting progressively longer. You see it in the back. So like the slightest bit of wind, my hair is just all over the place. So I'm looking forward to get a hat so I don't have to worry about that. And I can wear it out, and they have options for embroidery too that I saw on there. So I'm going to be looking into all of that. And that's just one design. That's just one logo. I'm going to have different things. I have like different sayings and stuff, like, exploring his life, or so it's just something stupid like that. It's all going to come together on that shop once they give me the approval. Um, I'm just catching up on comments here. Let's see. Another idea for the Northeast would be looking for old remnants of the train stations along Bustleton and Branch. That would definitely be interesting. I'm not going to dress like a Boy Scout. It's not going to, and I'm not going to dress like a Girl Scout either. Before you say it. Yeah, it's a decent sized store. It's going to get bigger. We used to ride our dirt bikes in that area. So Dinosaur Lake, yes, Dinosaur Lake and the Prison Farm and the Potter's Field. All three of those places I've been to quite a few times. Dinosaur Lake more so than the others. I wanted to go there this year. I wanted to wait until like it was like we had like a bitter snap of cold where it was like freezing the ground. Unfortunately, this year it didn't happen. And the reason I wanted to do that is because I wanted to walk on where the lake was, because it's still very mucky and muddy. But the bigger problem right now in the area of Dinosaur Lake is the homeless problem that has been going on. There has been a surge. I mean, the homeless population has been growing over the years in the area, but in the last year and a half, maybe 2 years, there's been a huge surge, and they are just taking over the wooded areas. And me being the person I am, I don't want to disturb people. I don't want to make people feel like they need to protect themselves or anything like that, because I'm sure none of them would know who I am, even though they're in the area or anything like that, to say, oh, well, that's just Tom, he's okay. So I do know that in those woods behind Franklin Mills, there are quite a few homeless camps going on. In fact, you could see one right from Woodhaven Road. Like if you're coming from 13 down to Millbrook Road, right where Franklin Mills is, or Philadelphia Mills, whatever the heck you want to call it. Before it's about halfway in between, if you look to the right in the woods, you'll see like a canopy with a tent under it, which has been reinforced with like a bunch of plastic and tarp and bags and stuff like that. And then there's the hill that's going down to the creek. That entire hill is encased with trash from whoever it is that's living in there. And it makes me so sad, because, you think they got all this plastic, all these tarps, and some of it is plastic bags, like shopping bags and stuff like that. If they can get these things, then why can't they just put their trash into the bags and keep them around the tent? And then as they go out into the world, they could throw them in dumpsters or whatever, instead of just letting it flow right down to the creek, because it's just polluting the creek. And that really makes my heart hurt. Sorry, I keep hitting the microphone. That just makes my heart hurt, because I've come to appreciate nature and history so much in the last few years of my life. And it makes me sad that, I mean, first off, it makes me sad that people have to live that way. I don't wish that on any of them. Unfortunately, that's the circumstance. That's the hand they were dealt in life. But they don't have to make it worse by doing that. They could still have some kind of civilized manner of living, in a way, to where like they're not just tossing their trash all over the place or right around where they live. I'm not knocking them for having to live the way they do. But I don't know. It's just sad all around, like every aspect of that. But I definitely would love to go back to Dinosaur Lake right now. I just have to feel it out. I have to go down there without a camera and just kind of see what's going on back there. Hey, Michael, how you doing? Spider webs are always a problem. Oh, dude. What's up, Chris? Where did I grow up? I grew up around the Franklin Mills area, very close to it. Like probably, from the house I grew up in, I could be at Franklin Mills on foot within 7 to 8 minutes. I also grew up a lot in the Croydon area. I was explaining that earlier, actually. So between the two, and everywhere in between, I went to Cornwell skating rink as a younger guy. I used to go there at least once a week. But I also here in Northeast Philly, I went to Fitzpatrick Elementary School. I went to Benjamin Rush when it was a middle school. Still, right now, it's a high school for the performing arts, but it used to be a middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. I went there. I went to Washington. Well, I should say I was enrolled at Washington. I didn't go to Washington, which wound up ending me up in Shallcross, which actually was the best school that I went to, hands down. The teachers there were absolutely awesome, even if we didn't think so at the time. I'm actually still friends on Facebook with one of the teachers from there, Doc Janad. Awesome man. And then I wound up graduating from student ed over on Bustleton. So yeah, I've you could say I've mostly grown up in the far Northeast, but I've been around. I've lived in different places. I lived in Harrogate. I lived in Warminster for a little while. So I've gotten around. Cornwell's was awesome. It really was. A lot of my friends, having grown up here in the far Northeast, a lot of my friends went to the Palace. I was like, no, I don't want to go to the Palace. I don't like it there. It just doesn't feel right. Cornwell's actually felt like home. I loved that place, the people that ran it. My grandfather knew everybody there, like all the older guys that worked there, because my grandfather actually used to be heavily into skating, like competitive skating and stuff like that, as was my aunt. And he taught her to do that. You went to Ryan. I'm sorry. No, I'm kidding. So you were a rag doll then. Was there ever an amusement park down behind the Set the Bus Station at nights in Frankfurt? Yes, there was. It was called Torresdale Park. It was owned and opened by Edward Morell. I actually, if you look back at my videos, if you go to my channel, not now, after my live, keep watching my live right now, but after my live, go check out my videos. There's one I did. I can't remember what the title of it was, but it'll say something about Morell Park. And I talk about Edward Morell. And there's also one called Torresdale Park, something with Torresdale Park, where I actually go into the woods looking for any remnants of the place. I did find some concrete in there, but I really couldn't. There was not much to find because most of what was Torresdale Park became that street right there. What is that? Oh, wow. Help me out here, people. The street, like whatever Knights Road becomes, like when you cross Frankfurt Ave, what is the name of that street? That most of the park was on that. And if you go further down Pequesson Creek on there, that's where you'll find the old Boy Scout hut that they had or cabin that they had that was built back in the 40s. But all that's left right now is a chimney. It might be Hagerman. I don't think it's Hagerman. Is it Stevenson? No, Stevenson's up further. That's on the other side of Morell. Maybe it's Hagerman. I can't remember off the top of my head. Let's see. It was odd being from Bucks going to Ryan. Well, I could imagine. I knew a lot of people that went to Ryan. I still do know a lot of those people. You went to the same schools. Did a few years behind me, though. Well, yeah. I'm 48, so I'm not sure how old you are, but that's the age range. How about the caves in the Chamonix State Park? They do exist. They're not caves, though. See, and that was the thing. That was my mistake. I was calling them caves because it was a lack of knowledge. I now understand what they were. The caves, as I referred to them, were actually an underground dwelling that was built by a friend of the people that owned the land. So the people that owned the land were Robert and Sarah Logan. Now, if you combine Sarah and Robert and shorten it and stuff like that, you get Sorobia, which was the name of their land. And Sarah invited their friend Blossom Farley, who was a well-known artist at the time. He had his hands in a lot of things. Like, he wore many, many, many hats. When he was here in the Philadelphia area, he was actually head of the Coin Collectors Association. I'm not sure what that's called off the top of my head, but he was the one that was in charge of that. And as such, he had a lot of unique coins that were worth a lot of money. So he wound up getting, I think it was tuberculosis, and she invited him to come stay with them so that he could be in the fresh air. So while he was with them, he made 2 different dwellings. One, if you're in the Chamonix State Park and you're walking back towards the garden, those bathrooms that are right there, right across the path from that, you'll see a rhododendron bush. I think that's what it's called, rhododendron. And right there is where his tower used to be. It was 4 stories. It was like 1 room per story. And he stayed there in the wintertime. In the summertime, he had built an underground dwelling over the years that he was there, between like him and Robert Logan and the people that would help them. It was a bunch of hallways laid out like a maze, and it was like supposedly 15 different rooms. Now, what I found when I was there was just one of the hallways. And there was a gentleman who was hanging out in the park who decided to go down there and start digging them out. Not because I made the videos, but he said he already knew about these places. And he was mostly making a hangout for himself, but he also wanted to dig everything out because it was all filled in at one point. And he got a good distance going down the hallways. However, the park had found out what he was doing, and they deemed it to be dangerous, that a kid could fall down there or whatever the case may be. So what he found, they decided to collapse and fill in, unfortunately. I did get to look down there. Like, I sent, like, when I first went there, the hole was only this big, and I put my camera down there with like a selfie stick or whatever, and I could see down there. But when the hole was made bigger, I did, out of curiosity, look down there and check it out, but I didn't go in, because there wasn't really much dug out at the time. But when they found out what it was doing, they collapsed the cement and filled it in. Now, that was, like I said, just one hallway. There were supposedly 15 rooms down there. So I'm sure they're still down there. They're probably filled in with dirt or whatever, or maybe they're not. Maybe they're just covered up. I don't know. As an employee of Neshaminy State Park, I cannot do anything about that. Otherwise, I'd be jeopardizing my job. And I do love working at that place because I love that park so much. Since I first started walking around in there, I love that park. And when I found that garden, man, did I fall in love with that. I knew I just had to be part of restoring that garden. And I'm honored to have been the one to start that and to have become the lead volunteer. And I had other people working with me, awesome people, hardworking people. We put a lot of sweat into that and a lot of time. And we've dug up all the past, the human chessboard. Now they are without me because I can't be a volunteer and an employee at the same time. However, they continue. They come by. They're cleaning up. They're taking care of all the flowers that we putting in more flowers. They're looking into getting the Humpty Dumpty on the wall fixed. It's not an easy process because it's going to be really expensive. We did have a GoFundMe going, and we raised a couple $1,000, but it's going to be more than that. So I'm not sure how that's all going to go down. But yeah, that's a really long-winded explanation of the the underground caves. Let's see, Route 13. Yeah, Bristol Pike. Yep. I assume you're talking about the homeless I was talking about, and love driving by it okay, maybe Dinosaur Lake. I got a little lost there because I tend to do that. I'll start talking and then all of a sudden I'll branch off, and I got to kind of reel myself back in, and it gets a little hard to do that sometimes. Yeah, but they were in a certain area, and that has now caved in, or not caved in, but been caved in and filled in. However, they brought in some college kids. I don't know if they were volunteers or they were being paid or whatever, but where it was, they cleared out that entire area. It was like filled with weeds and stuff like that. And when I looked on the map, it was a hand-drawn map that came from the Bensalem Historical Society, or Historical Society of Bensalem Township, however you want to say it. It said that in the middle of all that there was a concrete slab, and that's all it was labeled. And I went looking for it a couple times while everything was still overgrown, and I couldn't find it. But when they cleared that out, there it was. And then through the help of my subscribers who commented on the video, we figured out what that concrete slab was, because it had certain lines indented on the concrete. It was a badminton court. So it belonged to the Logans, and they had a concrete badminton court right there. You can actually see where the poles went in and everything. And you think all the stuff that belonged to the Logans, we'll say Robert Logan has been gone since the 50s, since like early to mid 50s. He passed away. When they first moved in there, it was like the 19 teens. So we're looking at a place that's 100 years old plus. The garden is 100 years old. That badminton court is probably 100 years old. Blossom Farley's tunnels and rooms, 100 years old. Unfortunately, the only building that still exists is right across from the garden. It's a small little building, and we call it the tack room. But it has, in the basement of that little one-room building, it has some pumps and stuff like that. Old pumps that actually look like a big version of what you see in the back of your toilet, like with a floater and everything like that. There's these huge metal tubes or containers or whatever. So we assume that was probably like a pump room for water and stuff like that for the garden. And I know around the garden they did actually have some apple trees and stuff like that. It was a farm, you know what I mean? It was a mansion. It was a land owned by these people. It was also a farm. They had a barn and everything. The second floor of the barn, which was right behind where that tack room is, the second floor was made into a theater, so that when the Logans would have their friends over, like they'd have a whole group of friends over, and they would just party. You know, they would have their friends who were actors perform in the theater that they made in the second floor of the barn. They had the human chessboard in the garden. They would invite their friends to come over. They would send a package that had a costume of a chess piece, whether it be a pawn, bishop, rook, whatever, and they would be the pieces, and then they'd have two people, one on either side of the garden, controlling them. You know, they'd say knight to rook 3 or whatever. However you do that, I can play chess, but I can't announce it like that. You know, and they would have their own little chair and table there, like a little table for their drink. And the servants at the time, which eventually the Logans got rid of all their servants due to the religions that they adopted. But at the time, their servants would help move the chair and the table to that space and everything. It was, but the chessboard is still there, so it could still be done if anybody wants to go there and they get enough people. Like, even if it's just like a little printout, like a paper, you put it on your chest, like the chess piece, and each person can stand. And so it could still be done. And my friends have jokingly said that they want to do that. But yeah, let's see, what do we got? The crypt. Oh yeah. It's on. It's over by Station Ave. Oh man, I can't remember what Station Ave becomes when you cross State Road. I forget the name of it, but yeah, it's like as you're going down from State Road towards the river access area there, the woods that are on your right, there's I found one crypt in there, but I was told that there was more than one. But it did belong to not the Biddle estate. It actually belonged to the Penryn estate. There was a family. I can't remember their name off the top of my head. I might have talked about it in the video. That was a 2-part video because I went searching for that. But the first video, I went searching way too far down towards the Biddle estate instead of wandering in those woods. And then somebody had told me from that video in a comment, hey, it's closer to Station Ave and everything. So I went wandering there and I found it. There's nothing in there. They moved the coffins and everything that were in there because they feared vandalism and stuff like that. But the crypt itself is still there, and it's very cool. You should check that video out too. I mean, check out all my videos. They're all awesome. I love them. It sure is. Neshaminy State Park, actually, that area. Well, first off, you have where Dunks Ferry Road ends, just off to the right of that. There was the old Dunks Ferry. It was a guy named Duncan something. I can't remember his name, but he had a ferry that went across the Delaware, and he also made the Dunks Ferry Inn, which the building still exists. It's just privately owned right now. But you have that history, and further down, like going more towards Croydon, but not in Croydon. On the Delaware, you have an area where one of George Washington's men, the day that George Washington crossed the Delaware at Washington's Crossing, of all places, he had another group of men there who were supposed to cross the Delaware, but they weren't able to do it due to all the ice and everything. So they failed in being able to help him as they marched towards, what was it, Trenton, I think. So George wasn't happy about that. But so there's that history there. So there's a lot. Plus, it was at one point owned by William Penn, as was pretty much all of Pennsylvania, which is how it got its name. See, I'm getting behind in comments now, so I'm trying to remember. Oh, you only found what you talking about, the crypts? Yeah, I only found the one myself. But you can go check out the part 2 of that video, see if it's the same one, and see if that's what you remember seeing. Let's see. Wasn't there? Yeah. Well, see, I already said that. So again, I'm behind in video in the comments. So yeah, it was Dunks Ferry. That's how Dunks Ferry Road got its name. It wasn't where he crossed wasn't by the marina. It was more so in Neshaminy State Park. Thank you, Lori. I appreciate you. Was it George Washington in what house? Yeah, definitely check it out. I mean, when I watch my own videos, I much like I told the people in the last video I did for the Huonville Hill, I don't really like watching myself or listening to myself, but I have to when I do these videos. But I think they're cool, even though it's me. I mean, I've been doing these now for 3 years or over 3 years. And it just doesn't get easy looking at yourself and hearing yourself for a whole video. And I always have to watch these videos multiple times. So when I take these videos with my phone, and I have a little gimbal that I hold it in that holds everything steady, so I get like the most steady picture I can. And then when I take them from the phone and put them on the computer, I have to watch them then so that I can get an idea just mentally of where I want to make my edits. And then I load them into my video editing software, and then I have to watch them and listen to them as I'm editing the video. And then once I export the video, before I upload it to YouTube, I have to watch it from beginning to end to make sure I got all the edits, because the process of uploading a video to YouTube is long when you have ultra high definition, because my videos are in 4K. And just let's say for that last video I did, the Huonville Hill one, that was like 20 some minutes. It took almost 4 hours for that to process. So if I have to edit something and re-upload it, I have to go through that all over again. So I don't really like seeing or hearing myself, but I have to see it and hear it at least 3 times for every video. And you figure I have over 100 videos in the last 3 years. So that's a lot of watching myself and listening to myself. Let's see. Parkwood Manor. Parkwood Manor. Well, I did one video in Parkwood itself. I went into the woods across from why am I blanking on the name of that elementary school? It's right there on Academy. The woods right across from it, and then people called like the one area of the woods the crater. And I got a little bit of flack for that video because I called it the crater. And I went everywhere. Torrey Road and Academy Road. I went into those woods and I went everywhere but where the crater itself was, that everybody considered to be the crater. Now, the entire woods is actually laid out like a crater. So that's why I thought I didn't hang out there when I was a kid. The woods I hung out in when I was a kid are over behind Woodhaven Mall. So I didn't really hang out in Parkwood a lot when I was younger. I knew a lot of people in there, but we didn't really hang out there. So like I said, I got a little bit of flack for the fact that I went everywhere but the crater itself. But I explored those woods, and at some point maybe I'll go back and bring somebody with me that knows that knows exactly where the crater is, so that I can get that in a video. But I think, I mean, other videos I've done were close to Parkwood. They're like, I did one across from the old movie theater at Franklin Mills, which is now a church. Those woods go into Parkwood, and they connect with those woods at Torrey Road as well, I think. But I went in there, and I think those are pretty much the only Parkwood places I've been to so far. Used to be a rumor that as soon as you pass Thomas Edison Bridge into Croydon First Ave, I must have missed. Oh, the building you were talking about. Well, see, the thing is that George Washington stayed a lot of places. So, it's a lot of places said George Washington stayed here. He did. Well, I don't know if he stayed at the Red Lion Inn, but he was definitely at the Red Lion Inn. A lot of well-known forefathers were at the Red Lion Inn, and it is such a shame that it's gone. It really is. I would have loved to have gone in there and done a video on that place. Unfortunately, as we all know, it was like back in the 80s, so there were no cell phones, there was no YouTube, there was nothing. But it would have been great to go. Let's see. Yes, the crater. Okay, yeah. That's the place that was across from the old movie theater. That's what people had said. But there was also a personal residence there as well, and a pool, I think. There's not a whole lot left back there, but there is still some stuff back there. You could check out that video as well. That was a pretty cool video. I had fun making that. Let's see. Yeah, it's The Boy in the Box at Pottersfield. I did a video on that after they revealed his name. That was interesting. That was a lot of driving, actually. So I started off over on Dunks Ferry Road in Parkwood, where the Potter's Field is. And then I went to Fox Chase, where they found his body, and there's a placard there. And then I went to Ivy Hill Cemetery, which is up above Fort Washington, and I filmed there. So that was a lot of driving that time. You have to move your car from the lot to do shady characters. I'm lost on that one. Again, I'm a little behind on comments, and I'm trying to catch up. Let's see. Yeah, I'm sure that's still considered Parkwood, though. If you follow those paths, the Pequesson Creek Trail there, it'll eventually lead you into Benjamin Rush State Park, which is also part of where I work. Those of us at Neshaminy State Park, we also take care of Benjamin Rush State Park as well, and that's going to be my main focus this season. And apparently, I'm going to be doing a lot of the mowing and stuff there. Does anyone know if the chimneys are still there? The chimneys where at, Chris? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did park at the church. And then I had to move. Yeah, that's right. I remember. Yeah. Because there was like somebody driving around. And I think they were being taught how to drive, but like it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and I was like, yeah, I got to move my car. And then I moved it across the street over to the gym there. The hell is that gym called? I don't know. Like the fitness place there, and I parked there instead. Um, yeah, I do remember that now. Oh, the chimneys at the crater, or just before the crater in the other woods. I think that was in the other woods, wasn't it? The ones that were closer to that church by Franklin Mills. Because somebody was talking about that there was chimneys there, and I did find piles of rocks that looked like they could have been part of a chimney. I didn't include that part in my video because I didn't realize it at the time. It wasn't until after the fact that I realized that's what they could have been. Let's see, the area right before the prison farm. There is a lot of history in them houses. I think there was a funeral parlor down there, a general store right before the bridge on Mechanicsville. Huh. Oh, that old bridge that goes off of Mechanicsville. I think I put that in one of my videos. And it was also in a video that I didn't put on my channel, but my friends made, Kenny and Donna at K&D Adventures. They're no longer making videos, but they did one back there. That was my actual first time meeting them in person, but I knew them online for quite some time. And we focused on that bridge as well. Benjamin Rush is definitely a very interesting character, a forefather, signed the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. Well, signed the Constitution. I don't know if he signed the Declaration, but he signed the Constitution. Um, and he's one of the lesser known forefathers, but he definitely has a very interesting story in life. And that one burial yard that I went to, what was it, John Hart burial yard. His relatives were buried there at one time. I don't know if they're still there, but yeah, he definite interesting story there. And anybody that's like a history buff, I recommend looking into him. He led an interesting life. He was in the medical field, and he was into using bloodletting as a means of curing and stuff like that, but it obviously didn't work out. Yeah, yeah. I mean, anywhere where you find the Pequesson Creek, that's usually like the natural border between Northeast Philly and Bensalem. So if you're on one side, you're in Northeast Philly, far Northeast Philly. If you're on the other side, you're in Bensalem, pretty much along the whole creek. I didn't go down to where the pool was. Well, I walked around. I did walk around all the area that I could. I just omitted some of the stuff from my video that just didn't really seem all that interesting because there wasn't really much to see. But I went in there on that one side of Pequesson Creek and walked as far as I could up until there were houses, and then I couldn't go any further. So, I mean, maybe if I was on the other side of the creek, and I thought about walking over to the other side and seeing if I can go, but there's not a whole lot of land there between the creek and the houses too. So it's like a real thin area of land. And then there's like another creek or brook or whatever that crosses. It's like a offshoot or an onshoot, however you want to look at it. I didn't take note to the way it flowed. That's connected to the Pequesson Creek that separates that area from another area, but it just looked like really tall weeds, real thick in there that you can't even get through it. Yes, it does actually. That's the Pequesson Creek Bridge. I have a couple videos on that. I have one where I went to it, and it was really falling apart. But they've actually redone that bridge. They also redid the bridge that goes out to Richelieu Road in Bensalem. So they hired the state hired contractors to come and fix those bridges. They look so much better now. But I also did do a video after they fixed the bridge right by the Chamonix Inn. So you can go back in my videos and check that out. It might have been called the Pequesson Creek Bridge and revisiting the Pequesson Creek Bridge, something like that. But you'll be able to find them. Just got to go into my channel and then click on videos up top and then just start scrolling through and reading the titles. The pictures, usually the thumbnails, I try to keep them representative of the video itself. So like you could see the thumbnail and you'll be able to see it right away. And you'll know, oh yeah, that's the bridge. So, but definitely check them out. They're cool. But yeah, they have redone that and it looks awesome. I have a lot. I have over 100 videos. Go back and check them out. Like, I mean, you can see the progression of how comfortable I've gotten over time with my videos. Like when you go really far back in my videos, I'm not really comfortable in talking and stuff like that. I did my best. But as time has gone on, I've gotten more and more comfortable with it. And I talk more like myself. In the beginning, I was trying to talk more proper and stuff like that. It's a learning curve when you start making these videos. But yeah, I do have plenty. I mean, go back and check them out. I could use the watch time. That would definitely help me with getting monetized. Let's see. On top of the hill? I don't remember there being a hill. It was all pretty flat. Well, no, you know what? There was a point where as I was walking along and the creek was on my right, there was like a slight incline on the left. And that's about the place where I saw the piles of rocks that looked like they could have been a chimney. I might have to go back and check that out and get some footage of that. I know a lot of people enjoyed watching that video. That was one of the videos that just went crazy. Got like a couple thousand views or something like that. Thank you, Lori. I wish you could too. That would be great. But you can keep watching them. That'll contribute to the watch time. That'd be great. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for thanking me. Yeah, I enjoy just hanging out and talking and chilling and stuff like that. I mean, heck, I've been doing it for almost an hour now. In about another 30 seconds, it'll be an hour. And it didn't even feel like an hour. It just felt like a matter of 10, 15 minutes. Let's see. Bensalem CC doesn't have... I'm not sure who owns it. I don't think it's the country club, because when you go on the other side of what used to be the lake, it's not a lake anymore. It's just swamp pretty much at this point, with a lot of greenery growing when things get green anyway. You can see where the fence is, And I would assume that the Bensalem Country Club, their property ends right there. Now, if one person decided they wanted to be a little lucrative, and this could go towards the homeless people that are living in those woods right now, they could walk around there. There are hundreds and hundreds of golf balls all over that place. They could take them, clean them, resell them. I thought about doing it myself, actually, a couple times. I think I said it in a couple of the videos. That one time I'm just going to go back there with like a backpack or something and just get a whole bunch of them, clean them, and resell them. I mean, why not? Hey, what's going on? I assume that's Carl. What's going on, man? Well, I don't have a great following, but I will say that everyone that follows me is great. Not because they follow me, but because of how supportive everybody is. I mean, I really have no complaints whatsoever. I have nothing but good praise to give everyone for the comments and the support that I've gotten over time. I really truly enjoy this, and it's become a pastime of mine, and it's gotten me a lot more into history and the history that I start learning. It's like a rabbit hole, because I've said in recent videos, I'm starting to realize that a lot of my history is starting to connect to other history that I've learned. Like when I went to that John Hart burial yard, come to find out he and some other people are the ones that made the Byberry Friends meeting house over there on Byberry and Thornton. I mean, not the one that's there now. They built the original one that was a log cabin. And then since then it's been rebuilt. And the one that's there now has been there since the 1800s. But still, to know that he was part of that, and then it's mind blowing sometimes. It really is. What's going on, brother? Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't love watching me, but I do enjoy talking with everybody. Makes me happy. Right, Malin. I mean, you could literally do that if you cleaned them up well enough, because most of those balls that I see back there, I said balls. Most of the most of those golf balls that I see back there, they're almost like pretty new. I mean, all different colors, yellow, like fluorescent yellows and oranges and whites and like all kinds of stuff. And you'll even see them as far as on the Pequesson Creek. So people must have been smashing them to get them that way. It's crazy. Let's see. I mean, I didn't realize growing up how much history there was around this area, and it just astounds me that I keep finding more and more, because I start thinking, what else am I going to do? Especially for a while, I had a car that I was driving that I couldn't really drive very far. I just recently got a different car. It's not new, but it's new to me. It's only a few years older than the other one I had, but this one I should be able to drive a little further and be able to get more interesting places. But there's still so much to see here, and every time I think I've found everything I could find in the immediate area, I find something else, or something just a little bit further, like the Thomas Home Cemetery. I didn't know anything about that, and people said there's plenty of times they drove right past there and never knew what the heck it was. And I would love to go into those woods right there. That may be my next video, because if you watch that video towards the end, as I'm talking and I'm walking out towards like the end of this path, there's a hill that goes down, and then there's the bridge that goes over Home Ave, and it's a huge tunnel down there. It looks really, really interesting, and I definitely want to explore there. So that might be my next video. I'm not sure, but we'll find out. Down closer to the creek, the pool was. I love the Poconos too. My sister and my brother-in-law have a place out there, not far from Jim Thorpe area, and I love going there. And this past December was my first time actually going to the town of Jim Thorpe. I mean, that whole place is like it's like a painting. You know what I mean? Like it's so weird. Like it's like time stopped in that place. and you're in the valley of all these mountains and everything. It was beautiful. It really was. It was like something out of a Norman Rockwell painting, basically. Yeah, you did. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I appreciate the support. It means a lot. I could definitely do that. And we go through a lot of eggs in this house. Yeah, I'm loving it because, like, I mean, as a younger guy, I didn't care. I didn't care about any of that. I was just caring about hanging out with my friends and stuff like that, or drinking in the woods or whatever. Little did I know that these woods would be the same ones that are giving me all these views. When I did the woods behind Woodhaven Mall, lots of people watched that. Did the woods in Parkwood, tons of people watched that. Like, people just, they seem to like it when I explore just wooded areas instead of history. But people do love the history as well. The ones in the woods, though, they do phenomenal. People from like 50 years ago, or 60 years ago, or 70 years ago, they'll see it and they'll be like, "Wow, I remember hanging out in those woods," and they don't even live in the area anymore. They live in a different state. It's like so great to see them again and how much they changed and everything. I I've hung out around here a lot. I still do. Oh, you mean in Jim Thorpe? Yeah. It's we when I was there with my girlfriend back in December, we went into a pub. I think it was called Molly McGuire's, which Molly McGuire's, that has a whole story on its own. I'm just starting to touch on, thanks to my girlfriend. She brought this idea to my attention, so that might be a video down the line where I start doing more of a documentary style, kind of like I did with the uh, Byberry Friends Meeting House, and more informational pictures, videos, and stuff like that about the whole Molly McGuire history, because that's interesting as well. Yeah, I think it's owned by the township. I don't like only up until the creek, though, because then once you reach Pequesson Creek, then that's Philadelphia. So the Dinosaur Lake itself, yeah, I think that falls under the jurisdiction of the township. Oh, the chimneys. Oh, they were brick chimneys. Okay, so they weren't like the ones that were like stone and cement and stuff like that. That's what I saw, though, a bunch of stones just in a pile there, like in a few piles. So I figured that might have been that. Cool. Oh yeah, yeah. I've actually in the last year or so, I've been watching videos that people did up in there. There's even like well, like you said, hotels and ski resorts and stuff that have been abandoned. I mean, a lot of them are fenced off and they're private property, which means I'm not going to go in there because I do not trespass in my videos if I can help it at all. But yeah, I mean, that would be great to go see them. Cool. Oh, by Home Ave. Oh, okay. I got you. I got you. You weren't talking about the Poconos. Yeah, most definitely. I mean, well, at least for me, anyway. And this YouTube channel has helped that greatly. And like I said, it's like a rabbit hole that you go down. Like, the more you learn, the more you want to learn, and then you start realizing why some of the streets around here have the name that they do. And like Dunk's Ferry, that was Duncan, whatever his last name was, his ferry. It was named after him. And then you got Thornton Road. One of the farms in that area was owned by a family named Thornton. And I mean, Byberry, it was the township of Byberry, uh, which came from England, actually. So I mean, there's so much to learn. Was it Yeah, I think that's Solly. Um, it's literally like the next bridge up from where there's ball fields are, where the cemetery is. Yeah, but you still could. And there's still hundreds of them. Yeah, and there used to be dirt bike cops as well. And I know that because I actually got pulled over by dirt bike cops at Granton Boulevard in a car. Nothing more humiliating than being pulled over by dirt bike cops. cops on the boulevard. They were just going to re-gas up at that gas station there, but yeah, they got me going through a red light. Eckley Miners Village. Oh, that's right. Sean Connery did do a movie. Yeah. Yeah. And there's an area out not far from Jim Thorpe. I can't remember what the name of it is off the top of my head. I just recently started learning about this, where you could still see some of the stuff related to the Molly Maguires. You know what, Chris? I actually thought of that because when Steph and I first got together, she was living in Maryland, and I was looking up different areas in Maryland for places to go. And if you go to the areas where the Blair Witch was filmed, those little figures they had made out of sticks hanging in the trees, they're still there. They're still there. I want to go. I definitely want to go. It's in the plans, man. See, here we had the keg parties in the woods behind the Woodhaven Mall, along the Bequesson Creek. We had a broken down van there. We just called it the van, and we would have the keg inside. And I've told this story before, but we would have the keg inside the van, and while it was broken down, it was still fully intact, and the back doors worked. So if the cops came, somebody shut the doors of the van, and we all just scattered. And then when the cops left, we'd all just reconvene, open the doors, and go back to it. It was a good time. That is awesome, man. You got to make some more shows for BB3 too, even if they're pre-recorded. You don't have to do lives. You know, you can do pre-recordeds too and just upload them anytime. Doesn't matter. And in case anybody's wondering what BB3 is that I just mentioned, me and a friend of mine, Dom, we run a little network of sorts on Facebook and YouTube called BB3 TV. So facebook.com/BB3TV or youtube.com/@ like the @ symbol BB3TV. And we have a lot of different shows that go on there. Most of them air on the Facebook. We do have a handful that air on YouTube. Dom and I do have a show that we do infrequently. We just recently, in the last month and a half, we got to interview some of the a couple of the original actresses from the Evil Dead movie, the original Evil Dead movie. That was very, very exciting for me because that was my birthday week. So it was a nice birthday present. But we have all different kinds of shows there, and much, much more to come. Including this guy here, who's done airbrushing and now is doing engraving as well. Like how-to kind of thing. Yeah, well, in Byberry, it's hard for any of the authorities to catch you because they're not going to chase you in the building. Once you go in the building, they leave because they knew that when you went into the Byberry buildings that you knew them better than they did, and they weren't willing to go in there and risk their lives. So, but yeah. Duncan Williams. Okay, there you go. Thank you. Yeah, the van was cool. I actually I went back into those woods not all that long ago, and I went looking for any remnants of the van, and I went right past where it was. The only time before that I found any remnants of the van, it had disintegrated so much that all you could see was like one axle from the wheel, and like it was either the brake pedal or the gas pedal. I can't remember. That's all you saw. Everything else had deteriorated to nothing. It was so sad and made me feel so old. Um, I'm not sure if they call it a Clay Mountain. Like I said, when I hung out there when I was younger, it was just to go to the van. So, but yeah, there's some pretty decent cliffy kind of areas there. So that's very possible. Awesome, man. Look forward to seeing them. The tunnels by Byberry, yeah. And those tunnels, not a lot of people realize those tunnels actually ran from Byberry to Shawcross School. And the reasoning for that is at one time, those were like two of the only things in the area. and the rest was all wooded area. So back in those days, Shallcross used to be like the kind of school that you stayed at. You lived there basically, and if somebody was deemed to be not mentally well or whatever, and they needed to go from Shallcross to there, their only means was to walk them through the woods, and they would escape. So they extended the tunnels that were already made for whatever purposes to go out there. That way, they had nowhere to run. At least that's the story I heard. Yeah, I do feel old sometimes. When I think I'm 2 years away from 50, it's like, wow, how did that happen? I was just 16. I never saw the rope swings there. I don't know what happened to my voice there, and it went really high like that. I don't. Um, the place I saw rope swings the most at was along the Neshaminy Creek, the Neshaminy Falls, not far from the Neshaminy Mall. And I said Neshaminy 3 times right there. That's a lot of Neshaminy. But I say that word a lot. I worked in Neshaminy State Park. But I remember them there. And they would go like halfway out in the creek and you just drop straight down. But now that you're saying it, I do remember seeing a video. A friend of mine, Sean Kane, we used to call him Eddie Munster because he kind of looked like Eddie Munster. He put up a video, and they were going out on this branch that was hanging over there, and I think there was a rope swing in the video. Now that you're saying it. See, we all have connections. Oh yeah. They went from the newer Byberry that's on the side of Roosevelt Boulevard, like where the self-help center is now, but across Southampton Road. That was the newer Byberry. The older Byberry was like behind where Benjamin Rush State Park is now. And at some point, I plan on venturing back into that area of I don't know if it's still considered on the property of Benjamin Rush State Park, but like it's the same paths to go back there. I plan on venturing back there to see if I can find any remnants of the old buildings. There's only one building from the old Byberry that still stands, and they refurbished it and they made it into like an office building or something like that of some kind. And you can get to it from like just off of Byberry, like back towards the college there, the community college, those streets back there. But you could see that building, and it still looks a lot like the old Byberry buildings. Like they kept the same look to it. They just made it look newer. Yeah, well, unfortunately, whatever tunnels are left, most of them were collapsed, from what I understand. And anyone that stands, they have like a solid brick wall every so many feet, and that was for the safety of anybody, so they didn't go down there because they could collapse at any time, whatever's left. So, yeah. Okay, I know that area. I know that cross street. Yeah, and there's not much of the woods left because most of what was the Byberry, the newer Byberry, the bigger area with more buildings and everything. The only thing that's left there now is a couple of the roads and parking lots and where like a building or two was. Everything else is a 55 plus community. So there's not really much left. And then on the other side of Southampton Road, from that a little further up than the self-help buildings, there's a wooded area there. That's also owned by the state parks as well. And there's rumors that they might be turning that into a walking park as well. I really hope they don't, because then that'll be 3 parks we're going to have to take care of. And I don't look forward to that. That's just be more mowing for me. Bustleton. Well, yeah, I'm not really sure what that area is considered right there. It's man, I just had it in my head. It's not Bustleton. It's oh my god. There's like further up Southampton Road, there are like baseball fields. Somerton. That's it. Somerton. That's what that area is considered. Yeah, from Byberry down to Shawcross, all the area that I grew up in and everything like that. This was all farms and wooded area up until the late 50s, I'd say. Oh, Conwell, yeah, all this area. I mean, there was no Roosevelt Boulevard. Um, there was the Bustleton Byberry Turnpike, which actually went right through what is now Benjamin Rush State Park. But yeah, it's yeah, but that was Somerton up there. Yeah. Anyway, wow, an hour and 21 minutes. I think this is probably one of the longer live feeds I've done. This is awesome that I've had this many people hanging out. I appreciate all of you hanging out. This is definitely helping my watch time. Help me get monetized so that maybe the next time I do a live feed, over here down there, you'll see like options where you could do a super chat for like $5 or something like that, and that'd be great. Because I mean, of course, YouTube is going to take its chunk of anything that's donated like that, but then it still gives me some. So any side hustle I can do would be great, because I mean, while I love working for the state in the state parks, it's not the highest paying job in the world, and I deal with some of the nastiest stuff you could think of. I mean, Neshaminy State Park gets trashed in the summer. People come in there and they straight up just throw their stuff all over. I'm not even going to tell you what goes on in the bathrooms. You would be disgusted. I mean, we have 3 different bathroom buildings. Right now, only the one main building is open, but very soon we're going to be opening the other 2. And then once they open the pool, that's it. That's it. Everything is just clean. Pick up trash, change bags. We're lucky if we could get other things done. And it's about to be a very tough year. There's a lot of different things going on at the park right now that are going to kind of put things in flux. So, but yeah. Yeah, well, you would think that, but like we're not getting a whole lot of people. I mean, we had a position open. They did fill it, but there's going to be more coming up. But it's just like one crew taking care of the 2 parks, and then if they open the other one, it's going to be one crew taking care of 3 parks. Thank you. I appreciate that. Please do watch them. There is some Civil War stuff around, but like I actually last summer or this past summer, which I should say back in July, I was at the mecca of places for Civil War history, and I didn't get to see any of it. I was in Gettysburg, but I was there for a convention, and I got stuck at a table, my girlfriend and I, while my partners were out doing everything else, socializing and everything. So I had to stay at the table, and I never got to get out to the battlefield. But the next time I go there, I guarantee I will, and I will make a video of that. Oh yeah, yeah. I can tell you that even just today, while I was working, I'm driving by in the truck, and people will be walking, and I drive slow. I'm not like right up on their butt or anything. I wait till they notice me, and if they move aside, they move aside. If not, I just kind of slowly go behind them. Or if somebody's coming at me, and I'll wave or I'll smile, and they just kind of go and just walk on. And then I see them in the rear view looking back at me like, how dare you? It's like, well, who do you think takes care of this place? I don't think they do. Well, You know what? Actually, some people do. I don't know if they're kids or not, because a lot of the woods I go into, I'll see a certain area and it's riddled with beer cans and bottles. The problem is the kind of beers that it is makes me think that it might be kids, because it's like all they could get. You know, I can't remember off the top of my head some of the ones I've seen, but it's just like beers I wouldn't drink. That's awesome. I hope they enjoyed that. I know a lot of kids did. Like, I've seen kids there where people take their kids there and they just run around in the garden. They have a great time. They do not. Unfortunately, they kind of ruined that for themselves. Apparently, the park. I don't know if it was the park manager. I think it was the park manager at the time, or at least the head ranger at the time. Already already had a dislike for them, the Civil War reenactors, but they would get left there for the entire weekend. So normally the park closes at sunset and that's it. Nobody's allowed in. They allowed them to stay there for the whole weekend. And not only would they drink, which you're not allowed to do in a state park. I know a lot of people do it. I see it while I'm there and stuff like that. But like they not only were drinking there, but they were boasting about it on their Facebook, and they got caught. And that was like the last straw. And they just said, "You're out. Don't come back." But it made no sense to really do it there anyway, because there was no Civil War activity that happened. Sorry, I keep messing with my hair, but I keep seeing it fluff out like static. Static is happening here. Um, Here, let me do that. There we go. No, that didn't work. All right, well, whatever. Um, so they kind of sealed their own fate with that. But like I said, there was no real Civil War activity that went on there anyway. I get why they did it, and they had fun doing it, but apparently it was a case of just a few of them ruining it for all of them. Yeah, it was maybe like 5 years ago, I want to say. Well, I appreciate that, and I'm glad that you enjoy it. It makes me doing all these videos worth it when I hear that people enjoy them. Well, White Claws are one of the things I see there, but I can't knock them because it's my girlfriend's drink. It's one of them. But it's different types of beers that I see there. It's just like, why would you drink that? Humpty Dump. Hopefully, Humpty gets fixed. I'm really hoping they're able to pull that off. That would be great. Times are always changing. Yeah, they do have the reenactments on YouTube. I've come across them because there have been times where I'm just sitting here and I'm bored, and I'll just look up Neshaminy State Park. Yeah, it's partially for vain reasons, just to see where I end up in the searches, but it's also to see anybody else's videos that they've done there, whether they be before I started to go in there or after, just to see what they got and maybe get a glimpse of things before I started going there. But yeah, there's videos of them up there. Yeah, this is the second Sunday. Well, it's not in a row, but this is like the last live I did was on a Sunday. And somebody did say mention that I should do it like once a month. I forget how long it's been. Maybe 3 weeks, something like that, since the last time I did a live. 3 or 4, somewhere in there. If it's 4, that'd be more like a month, I guess. But yeah, I appreciate that. I remember the high dive too. As a matter of fact, I've talked about that multiple times. Last year, when we were cleaning out the pool, it was my first time stepping foot into that pool area since the '80s when I was a kid. Um, and I remember when there was 3 different pools in there. There was the pool they have now, And then where the sprinklers are now, there used to be a kiddie pool that was always kind of yellow. And then there were on the other side of the pool, um, in an area where they just have it cemented off now. Uh, there was the high dive pool, and I remember like every time we would go there, I would try to get up my nerve to go up there. One time I finally got all the way up to the top. I have a fear of heights. Even back then I had it. I got all the way up to the top and I couldn't do it. And I had to come back down and everybody was booing me the whole way down. I'm just a little kid, you know? And then like one of the next times we went, I finally did it. I jumped off. And when I came up from out of the water, I heard everybody going, "Oh!" And I'm like, "What are they talking about?" And I realized within minutes after I got out of the pool what they were talking about because I felt my entire chest stinging. I like belly flopped right onto that. That that stung a little bit, but it wasn't long after that we stopped going there. It started to get too crowded and stuff like that. So, yeah, this was at Neshaminy State Park where they have the pool. Right now, it's just one pool, but there used to be three. But yeah, it was a little dangerous, especially for a kid my size at the time going up there. But I did it. I was like conquering my fears. I think I went off there a couple times. Like the next couple times I went down, I just went feet first, kind of thing, where like then your shorts are like halfway up your butt. And you got to pick them out as you're getting out of the pool. Yeah, and then by the '90s, we were long done going there. Like it was probably like I'll say like 85, 86, maybe 87. I don't think 87 though, because I was born in '75, and I'm pretty sure I was still in the single digits when we stopped going there. I don't know why my camera's going blurry a little bit. I don't know if it's been doing that the whole time either. I haven't been watching, but I apologize if that's the case. The old Levittown pools. I'll have to look into that. If you have any info on that, go to my Facebook and shoot me a message on that. Facebook.com/This is Tom's World, or you could just go, down here where it says This is Tom's World, and when you go to my homepage, the banner that's going to be up top on this side over here, you'll see like a little Facebook icon. You click on that, it'll take you right to it, and you can shoot me a message. This little piece of hair that keeps sticking out is getting on my nerves. I keep seeing it every time I look at the camera. Wow. An hour and 32 minutes. This is crazy. And I still have all you here still watching. So I don't want to end it because you're all still here. Not that I'm telling you to go anywhere. We can think of other things to talk about. Haunted Lane. Well, I don't know much about it. I mean, I've driven on it quite a few times, and I know that when we had that tornado or whatever it was that came through here a couple of years ago, that flooded out everything. I know that street got pretty flooded. But there is some pretty cool looking things back there. Some older looking houses and stuff like that. Some things I wanted to check out. Like the last time I drove through there, I thought, oh, that'd be cool to look at. Yeah, that's exactly what Charles was saying there. I'm glad I helped you do laundry. I should have been doing that too. I actually I still live with, well, I don't still live with my father, but I live with my father mostly because some years ago, like back in 2017, my dad went through a lot of medical issues. He had a blood cancer, multiple myeloma, and had to have a stem cell transplant and everything. So he needed. I was already living here at the time, but he definitely needed somebody here with him on a regular basis, like pretty much all day, every day. And my sisters and I, we went back and forth. Like when I had to work or whatever, they would be here or whatever. But it was mostly me here taking care of him, and I've been here taking care of him since. He's fine on his own now, but I still live here, so I do have his wash to do at some point. But I'm in no hurry because the man's got more clothes than I've ever had in my life, so I think he'll be all right. Or I might just do it after I get off of here. I don't know. That's a little glimpse into Tom's real world. Yeah, I don't think there's much history on Haunted Lane. I mean, like I said, there is some older looking buildings on there, but there are 3 names to that road, Totem Road. There might be. I'm pretty sure it's Haunted Lane on both sides though, like on State Road and 13, isn't it? I think it's somewhere in the middle that it changes. I could be wrong on that. It's definitely Haunted Lane on State Road. That I know. But I'm pretty sure it's Haunted Lane on 13 as well. I love my dad. You know, I'm here for him. Always have been. I do all the cooking, the cleaning, everything. I mean, he went through a lot of other stuff other than that. I mean, he went through issues where his kidneys had shut down. He lost his left eye due to an infection. So he's been through a lot in a short amount of time, but he handles it very, very well. It does go under a bridge, most definitely. Huh. Well, what's up, Rich? How you doing? Well, I'll do that with jeans, but not underwear. and t-shirts. I usually change them up from day to day. The hoodies, you go as long as you don't spill anything on them. You can go like a week, maybe 2, because you're already wearing like shirts underneath it, and I wear like an undershirt, and then I have my t-shirt, and then I have this. And when I'm at work, I have a thermal on that, plus a heavy coat when it gets cold, like it was today. Maple Beach, I don't think I've been to. Oh, you were there yesterday? Yeah, well, yesterday I wasn't working. I don't work Fridays or Saturdays. So, yeah, yesterday it was just Jack working. Just Jack. But we got another guy coming back. Tim, he'll be back. He's seasonal as well. And yeah. And we got a new guy starting next week. Next Monday, I think. So we'll be training him as well. I look forward to getting him started. So just for those of you who weren't here to see, I'll bring up once again the merchandise shop that I'm going to open once I get confirmation that my W-9 was accepted. Mary Divine Woods. I remember a story of a body being found in there when I was younger. Are they even still there? I know they redid the school, like they knocked it down. They put something else there. Are the woods even still there? I haven't been back there in a long time. Yeah, Jack does a good job on the bathrooms. Like, cleaning those bathrooms are just such a pain, especially during the summer times. I've thought about stealth camping. I actually have watched a local YouTuber named Squib, Squib. And he does a variety of videos, but most of his videos are stealth camping. Lately, they've been more just like going somewhere and making a lunch, and then that's it. But he does a lot of stealth camping videos, and I've thought about it, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe one day. I know there's like a whole stealth camping alliance throughout YouTube. But we'll see. So maybe someday I'll get to that. So for those of you who were not able to see, here is the merchandise shop that I will be opening, and this is just the first logo, like the first design, which is just my logo. We got T-shirts, hoodies, hats, mugs, aprons, bags, more mugs, hats, T-shirts, water bottles, bags, buttons, travel mugs, phone cases, pillows, jersey beanies, backpacks, tote bags, bucket hats, face masks, some more phone cases and different types of hats and stuff. So this should be opening soon, I hope. Very, very soon. I know I definitely want one of the pillows, the square pillow, and I definitely want a hat. So I look forward to opening this up. Let's see. Has anyone been back to the quarry lately in the Chamonix? The quarry? Where's the quarry in the Chamonix? I know that place like the back of my hand. You talking about back where the like the sand is, like where it's like a bunch of sand all over the place? Because that area I know. I do believe I've heard of both of them actually. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody watching my videos. Dinosaur Lake, that's actually not a bad idea. Because I have some old pictures. I don't know if I'd be able to legally use them, but maybe if I made them into illustrations and like just took out the background, so it was just the island and the dinosaurs and made it into like an illustrated thing. That's not a bad idea, man. I appreciate that idea. That's actually a very good idea because the first Dinosaur Lake video that I did was actually it's actually the most viewed video on my channel. I'm stalling for time as I'm like going back to try to get to it so I can see how many views it's at because I haven't watched it in a while. So like 5,200 views on that video, and that was my third video ever. So it was I was happy with that. Okay, Canada. Silver Lake is very pretty, and it's a very nice walk. It's a relaxing walk. You can't really get lost there, as long as you stick to the paths. There was a little while in my video where I kind of went in a circle, and I realized it about halfway through. They have an observation thing, like it's like decking, there's just wood and it's elevated. When I went there, it was being fixed, so I wasn't able to get up there, but it gives you a nice view of the lake. But yeah, I'd say it's very cool there. You got a piece of one of the dinosaurs, do you? Yeah, I think I'm definitely going to try to do that. I do have some Photoshop skills, so I think I could pull that off. Well, no, because it's all trails and stuff. I mean, I'm sure if I went into the wooded areas, there'd be plenty of thorn bushes in there. Oh man, so I am almost at an hour and 45 minutes, and as much as I hate to say it, I think I'm going to have to wrap this up because it is almost 9:30, and I do have to get up at 5:30 in the morning. I do have work tomorrow, so just want to say thank you all for hanging out with me. This has been fun. This is definitely the longest or one of the longest live feeds I've done, and I've had a good time talking to you all. And I'm definitely going to be doing this again, so keep an eye out for that. But definitely keep an eye out for my new videos. I may be making one tomorrow. As I said in the beginning of the live feed, that all depends on my car. I'm having a little issue with it right now, and I may have to take it in to get looked at from the guy that I bought it from. But if not, then I will try to make a video tomorrow. Maybe it'll be the woods over by the Thomas Home Cemetery because they looked really cool. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. If not, then there'll be definitely one coming out this week. So once again, thank you all for being here and interacting with me. I had a great time with you all. And yeah, I guess just make sure you stay healthy, stay safe, and take care. I'll talk to you all soon.